And just wanted to clarify for people who are not familiar with monocropping and monocultures, essentially what that is you're growing one crop in the same area over and over and over again. And say it's corn. So you're just growing corn in this field. You're only growing corn. Whereas in another environment, an organic farm, let's say, you have many crops and you rotate your crops because crops use certain nutrients from the soil. So you tend to find a balance on smaller scale farms or homesteads or any sort of small organic farm because it's not mass produced. So they have the ability to do that, and they have the awareness that that matters. Because if you're growing corn in the same spot every year, all the nutrients eventually, as we said, a lot of the nutrition from the plant comes from the soil. So if you're draining all that by year 6 of growing the same one, that is not the same corn that was grown 6 years ago. One that might be smaller, they might be slightly duller in color, but the nutritional profile is going to be significantly less. Whereas if you're rotating and you're very mindful of the soil needs for each crop, you can rotate them and get fresh crops. Let's say you do every 3 years you plant corn there as opposed to every year. Now all of a sudden that corn is vital. You're getting your nutrients that you're expecting to with the corn. And that's where I think with a lot of the food labels that we have out there, it's very deceptive because that is assuming that every piece of food is the same. So we go onto our corn and it says you get, or let's use a carrot because that's an easy example. You have a carrot and it says you get this percentage vitamin A and it's this many carbs. But if you're growing that on conventional soil, that vitamin A is probably going to be significantly less than if you're eating an organic carrot, which has been rotated with the crops. It's getting good soil. And if you tested those foods individually, you would definitely see a difference. But obviously, it's very hard to label things in a way that is unique to every food because that's pretty much impossible. You have to measure every single food, every single nutrient. So that's a generalization. So a lot of times, too, when people say that, oh, I'm getting all the nutrients I need, but you're not eating an organic diet or a high-quality organic diet, you may not be getting the nutrients you need, even though you think you are because the label says that. And I think it's very important to distinguish, as you said, with the organic versus conventional, and you're eating all these pesticides and herbicides. And what pesticides and herbicides do, they are killing creatures. The fungicides are killing fungus. The pesticides are killing bugs. The herbicides are killing other, what we call weeds, even though they can be something like dandelions, which are very beneficial to humans. So what you're doing is then you're killing a lot of the stuff in our own cells, a lot of the stuff that actually is beneficial, the things that are causing our hormones to be disrupted, causing our guts to be inflamed, because they're all these anti-life mechanisms going into us. And whether that's just energetically or the physical components that are going in there, or a combination of both, that is affecting us at a cellular level. And I think it's always interesting to me whenever people are eating salads and they have all the right intentions. I think they're eating healthy. But at the end of the day, lettuce is one of the highest sprayed vegetables, leafy greens at least, that I know of in terms of chemicals. And you look at the salads they're eating, it's usually like a dull, yellowish looking, I don't even want to call it a leaf. It's just, it doesn't look like you get an organic local lettuce from your garden or from a local farmer. You wouldn't even think it's the same plant. Just it's greener typically. I mean, obviously it depends on the species you're getting, but for the most part, it just looks more vibrant. The organic food typically looks better, tastes better, and feels better. And as you said, with clients who think that, oh yeah, you just want me to eat organic, it's this hocus pocus shit and it's not gonna change the world, whatever. But one thing I really like about organic farms too, and I'm talking about the small homestead where we're rotating our crops, and the organic farm itself is like an ecosystem because it all works together. We're taking the chicken poop, the rabbit poop, we're using that as fertilizer, and then the pigs are eating all the scraps, and it's just this whole ecosystem that works together. And so as opposed to the monocrop culture, which is you grow one thing, you harvest it with tractors after it's been sprayed by helicopters or tractors or whatever spraying it, or people with their little gas masks on. It's an interesting way of looking at it. And then I think that everything is an ecosystem, the earth is an ecosystem, our country is an ecosystem, and how everything we do affects someone else in one way or another, whether we think we are or not. By choosing to buy organic, not only are we shifting the market, but organic food has gone down in price quite significantly in the past 5 or so years. That's because, as it's gaining traction, because it's supply and demand. And so by voting with our dollar per se, we're not only supporting those local farmers, but we're making that more of the norm. And by making that more of the norm, we are shifting the consciousness of the planet. As we're becoming more aware of that, we're shifting the health of our soil, shifting the nutrient profiles of our foods, we're shifting the way our bodies feel. And at the end of the day, we are building the ecosystem that is our body. And the ecosystem within our body starts in the gut. And that's what this all comes down to. You can blow it up to the planet, the galaxy, however big you want to go. Those are all ecosystems, but it all comes down to our own little microbiome within our own little gut that's in our body. And things like hormones, neurotransmitters, our immune system, all stems from the gut. So if we're not taking care of our gut, we're likely going to be obviously stressed. We're going to be inflamed. We're going to be getting sick more often because our immune system can't function, because it's dealing with stress and inflammation. That's what it's trying to deal with first. And then something comes in and throws everything off balance. And we're not going to be feeling good. A lot of depression cases stem from the gut because we have a lot of issues with releasing things like dopamine or serotonin, which a lot of that stems from the gut. Obviously, there's a connection in the brain as well, but our gut and brains are huge pieces, in our heart, as you said, the three oscillators that you're talking about earlier, that's a very vital part. And I think we tend to think of the heart and the brain in Western medicine as kind of being everything in terms of where everything starts. It's our brain. We think with our brain and we feel with our heart. But most of the time we feel with our gut. And I think that's the interesting thing is there's no coincidence that we have gut instincts. We get the butterflies in our belly. We feel emotions in our gut because a lot of those neurotransmitters and hormones, as I said, stem from there.